across Leicester and across the world. This is DemonFM.
This is a podcast for the Rush Hour, starring two people from Salome.
Jamie Lloyd, the director of the play, and also Jaye Griffiths, who plays Herodias. I went up to see them at the Curve. We had a great time. Barrel of laughs, both of them, as you will hear now in the interview.
Poing.
You're listening to Rush Hour on 107.5 Demon FM.
Hello, I'm at the Curve here with Jamie Lloyd and Jaye Griffiths, who are going to be appearing in... now I got the pronunciation wrong of this earlier. Salome, are we on now?
Salome, that's right. Yeah.
Salome, this is going to be on here from the 6th to the 15th of May. Now, Jamie, you're the director, right?
That's right, yep.
Could you give us a bit of information on what it's all about, please?
Yeah, so Salome is an Oscar Wilde play that's very rarely performed. This is its first major revival, I think, since Stephen Burkoff directed it, I think probably nearly 20 years ago. And it's unlike any other Oscar Wilde play. I think people
fanless environment.
There's no fans and no drawing room comedy, which I think is what most people associate with Wilde's plays. It's completely different in its form, and we are then taking that further and exploring a highly visual production of it. But it's essentially about King Herod. It's based upon the biblical story. King Herod, who imprisons the ancient prophet Yochanan, which is the Hebrew version of John the Baptist, and Herod's stepdaughter Salome falls in love with Yochanan, and in return for doing a erotic dance, claims the head of the Baptist for her own pleasure.
Right.
The end.
Yeah, it does sound
Family night out.
Yeah, does sound quite a bit darker than what people might be used to from.
Yes, no
Oscar
handbags.
Wilde.
Yes.
No. Yes. So, Jaye, you're the character of, is it
Herodias.
Herodias.
Yes.
So she's Herod's wife.
Yes.
Is that right?
You can just call me Queen.
Queen.
Yes, which I prefer.
Is that a kind of role you feel suits you well?
Yes, although it is somewhat tainted when you see this production of how queenly I am, covered in mud.
Right.
But that's okay.
Yeah, because I understand you've gone for quite an interesting sort of staging of this, that those who may have seen it, even though it's a rare production, might not have seen it as before.
It's just that we've gone for a modern take on it, that's all. Because it's done so rarely, one is at liberty to do as one pleases.
Yeah. And also, I think, because Wilde himself imagined it to be as much about the form as the content. He wanted big, lavish production values and sort of non-naturalistic staging ideas. So I think if he was alive today, he'd probably be well up for what we're doing with.
Absolutely.
Because we are absolutely doing his play. We're doing the text, everything. All of the ideas that we've had have absolutely been based upon the text, but we pushed it further. Yeah, we're kind of setting it in a kind of industrial, futuristic world. It's a kind of a
glamourless environment. Yes.
So, Jamie, some of your other work in the past has been things like The Caretaker, I understand, is that right? That's a Harold Pinter.
Yeah.
Remember, you seem to be taking on some quite big names with your work. Is that what you're aiming to do, or are they just the ones that tickle your fancy?
I just really love really great writing. I also love working with actors. I love nothing more than working with actors in a rehearsal room. So to do really great plays with really challenging text work and character work that needs to be done in rehearsal, then there's nothing more satisfying. I also think that if you do those big classic plays, you can kind of give it, you can sort of, dust them down and do something interesting with them too.
Yeah, something different.
Yeah.
And Jaye, a lot of your work, people might have seen you in some TV things, such as I've got down here Touch of Frost and Silent Witness.
Oh, that's because that just came out. Yes,
Right.
The Last Frost.
Oh, right.
The Demise of Frost.
Yeah. Oh, that must have been quite a...
It was, and I played a baddie, and I haven't done that in a while, actually.
Is it
Yes.
fun playing the baddie, though?
Yes, not quite as much fun, because when it was written, my baddie drove a Porsche 911. Never got to do it.
Oh.
Felt robbed. Stunt man drove car. I didn't even see the bloody thing.
Doing those sort of thrillers and dramas like that, and then plays such as this, is that kind of your preferred genre? Something?
No, it depends what you did last.
Right.
You know, it's about just stretching your mind so you don't atrophy. You know, use it or lose it. And when I read this script, I just thought, this is impossible. This is impossible. And when we met, and he said to me, no, there's lots of wit in it. And I said, where? And of course, now that we've done it, it screams. And I don't know how you saw that before anybody said it out loud. It's extraordinary. It just ends. You just go, oh, well,
Yeah,
what's that about then?
It is like a short, sharp shock, isn't it? I mean, it's only an hour and 25 minutes straight through.
Hour 20.
An hour 20 on a good night. And but I was very keen to, because it is a tragedy, it is very dark, it's very bloody, and we are doing spectacularly bloody deaths.
Right.
And we've got, massive, high visuals and big lighting effects, big loud music. We're doing a real confrontational production of it. And there's that, there's nudity and oil slicks and
Not at the same time.
Not at the same time. So all of that is really exciting. But the thing I didn't want to lose, which I think we've been successful in doing, is the wild in wit. I forgot that when we were doing some casting meetings, we hadn't put who wrote it on the front, and a lot of the younger actors who associated Wilde's work with An Ideal Husband and Lady Windermere's Fan and such like. Were like, is this a new play? Who's written this, or is it an ancient play, or what is it? Because it's so sort of not definable by any, from any writer. It's got a language all of its own, and a style all of its own. And but the thing that does betray it to be a Wilde in play is its wit. It's very, very funny actually, and I think we've managed to find a lightness of touch in amongst the death, tragedy, and blood,
and oil.
I understand you've had a public dress rehearsal now. Is that right? Did they seem to get it? Did they seem to understand what you were trying to get in it?
Felt like it, yes. Yes.
Excellent. So it's worked then.
It was
Hopefully.
it was really exciting to see it actually with an audience, because of course it was the first time ever, and because you're doing something that is confrontational and different. You never know, and especially because it is a famous author, if not his most famous play. You wonder if there are certain people,
with
perhaps of an
expectations,
older generation, who may come and see a Wilde play and then get a bit shocked. When it kicks off with loud music and smoke effects, it might get a little bit...
and the odd gun.
And the odd gun. So that was interesting. But it's interesting as a director, always on a first performance of any kind, to see it through the eyes of the audience. And I absolutely thought they were entirely engaged and laughed in the right places, and there were gasps and sort of moans of nausea at the right point. So all that was very exciting.
I understand as well that Salome is set now for a national tour after playing here. Why start in Leicester? Why start at the Curve?
I think it's an exceptionally exciting building, and I think the whole notion of the fact that everything's open and everyone's intermingled. It's so great actually to see actors come out of the lift covered in mud and muck and blood, and all dressed in their costumes, all their army gear, and often in actually next to nothing, walking across the corridors to get to the stage, and
having the last Lucozade.
While the audience are coming in. I think there's something really sort of communal and interesting about that, and the fact that all the offices overlook the building and the dressing rooms are next to the offices, and the actors can look down over their, over the balcony and see the audience flocking in and people having a coffee in the coffee shop. I think all of that sort of open community feel is exciting. But also I think already, even though it's only obviously been open for a short amount of time, it's establishing itself as a really exciting theatre for dynamic, often visual work, and challenging work. So I think it sort of the combination of Curve and Headlong Theatre, of course, the theatre company behind it, as a co-production, I think is a sort of genius idea, really. And I just love the fact that we can start off in an exciting theatre, in an exciting auditorium as well. I mean, being in a new place has a kind of really great energy to it, and it kind of matches the contemporary nature of the production. It feels like it's a good home.
It's extraordinary to be in a new theatre. That doesn't happen very often.
No.
You know, they're not put up very often, are they? And everything works. The showers work. All the stairs and everything. It's joyous. It's not crumbling like most theatres are.
Yeah.
And that's just lovely. The stage is extraordinary. It's just, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Leicester. I think it's a great asset to Leicester, and all the people here are so lovely, and the crew and the staff here are so supportive. It's felt like a really great way to start, and it is a short tour before we go to London. But I can't think of a better place to start a production. I think I'd like to do it again.
When it gets to London, is it there for a bit of a run, or is it just the end of
10
the
years.
tour?
It's 10 long as Jay will be giving her Herodias.
And I'm 57.
20 years, you mean?
Oh.
So it's at the Hampstead Theatre for a month. So that will be the longest place that it runs, which is really exciting. And again, it will be a very different kind of production for Hampstead. But it's a great sort of period of time for Hampstead because it's in between regimes. They've got a new artistic director coming in the autumns, and we'll be like just before he starts his new season. So it will feel like we're sort of kicking it all off, really. So that's really exciting.
So after that, then, what's next for the two of you after this?
More Silent Witness.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm just going to be doing Silent Witness forever. So I film Silent Witness while we're doing this. So
Okay.
that's fun.
You're being
Because
kept
this
very
isn't
busy.
hard enough.
No.
Yes.
And
That's
Amy?
nice.
I'm associate director at the Donmar, so I get to do two things there a year. The Donmar Warehouse, which is in Covent Garden, and so I shall be doing Passion by Stephen Sondheim, which is a part of our celebration at the Donmar for his 80th birthday, Sondheim's 80th birthday. So that's next for me.
Also, though, Jamie, you're one of the younger directors around at the moment, but you've achieved some quite good reviews in your career thus far. Do you take much stock in what they say, or do you tend to ignore them, or...?
No, I try. Actually, I really don't read reviews, really, and I encourage actors not to read them. I think that if they're good, then you somehow got to feel a pressure. You feel a pressure to kind of keep being good all the time.
Yeah.
And if they're not so good, then why would you read
wrong.
them? Then they're wrong. Yeah, exactly. And also they kind of start to kind of mention very specific things that work, or things that they like specifically about your work or the style. So I'd much rather not have that analysis and just keep doing what I'm doing, really, and because sort of don't really do it for the critics. And if they like it, which they have, then that's great. But no, other people read them and tell me about them.
Well, it sounds like Salome is an interesting and exciting project at the moment, anyway. And I wish you the best of luck for the run, which, as I say, is on till the 15th of May here at the Curve, before you head off everywhere else.
Yeah.
So good luck to both of you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for talking to me.
Thanks very much.
Cheers. Naked people, oil and metal.
Perfect night in.
Sounds like a dangerous combination, but sounds like it'll also make for an exciting play.
All you need now is a DVD rental.
What?
Well, it's Perfect Night In, DVD rental. Naked people, oil and metal. No?
For more podcasts, visit www.demonfm.co.uk. Any more information on Salome, go to the website.
curveonline.co.uk.
You seem confused.
Yeah, I couldn't find it on the screen.
You can't remember curveonline.co.uk?
No, it's usually on our little tabby bit. but it's not.
Listen to Rush Hour 4 till 6, Mondays to Fridays.
Falling in love with us? Carry on checking us out at demonfm.co.uk.